Yat shik el kahaselo. Good afternoon. Do yat sheya Emerson John in Shiedo ado not the nat ni nshledo tsanachini bashin todachini dashedo kia ane dashanala. Oko here ade da isolt ado ya oho apenia ade da na isot khanige. Dice ella kodon hil khashna dole ella dida na ta bahane wali haki cho ella dice ben hil khashna dole adonan nihichiya chiyan bahane wali haki to edo khot abahashna dole khala ella di khaz anike etsis ba khayado adon da ella etsis bik desti nihilhaz ane penena ella di khoto adnek ashen anthin chiyan bahane cho ella adonan khit pe etsis yat chokhot ado ella spiritual and health food cho khot bahashna dole chiyan bahane to yo bahane da to yo bel kilkwilna da lede khasthuito sane yo chiyan de sanda sotazan yo santo ado penahaga at to ya chana nzan yo peliat khala ya it's is betelnido and sekis and betelno hot ayan sekis okoko chiyan bahane olehaki nejono ko bahane la akho to ato beniyaho chiyan olgeda la akho be khatot to start off with is that I want to explain the definition of chiyan when our elders when they plant nle dashin during the yellow world ad at that time, who's going to monitor this plant, who's going to nurture the seeds to grow. And that the air people that ishi nihito lel tatination ado chohna edo shito dolel ado nan enistin the mist people. They all said they will contribute to the growth of all nature and plants. So the air contributes the energy and the power and the growth of the plant. The growth, monitoring the growth and responsibility of these elements. That when they put all that together, they call it chiyan. So it has a very spiritual definition that applies to our body, mind, and spirit. It applies to healing of the body. So during the black world, and that's where the insect people were living at that time, one day they saw this plant growing. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know what type of plant. So they didn't pay attention to it. Every day there was a growth in that plant. But yet, they were afraid to even, touch it, or they were afraid to even come close to the plant because they didn't know what it was. And with that, they move up to the blue world and they saw this plant again. It was growing. One day, they saw the bird people going to this plant and they were all surrounding, flying around this plant. Some of the birds, they go sit on the corn stalk and they would put their beak into the pollen and they would take out the seeds and they gargle it. When they gargle it, they were tuning their voice, they were chirping and taking that spiritual sound So and during the blue world, they saw this and they understood that this plant has a very significant meaning, a very spiritual meaning. And you see rug weavers, they weave like that. And with the cornstalk surrounded by birds flying around, healing of the body, mind, and spirit. And when you wake up before the sunrise, you would go outside and you feel that nice, cool air, and along with the birds chirping, the sound of these chirpings that the bird makes, and you can sense the healing. You can feel that this is going to be a good day. Makes you feel good, makes you motivated. It inspires you to have that spiritual guidance. Because it happened at that time when the bird discovered the healing part of the plant. Time that they saw this plant growing, there's 3 plants growing in the one. So when a corn is planted and when you see it coming out from the earth, you will see the 3 leaves. That the 3 leaves that signifies that the center part is the child of the universe. And then on the right side of the leaf is also implies the mother. It signifies the mother. Adonan on the left side of the leaves is the father. So it really talks about a family unit, a family unity in this plant. Natan, its name Natan. So Nasko to continue forward. So Nasko Ta refers to your body, refers to your growth. So in Lego, as you grow, Natan and Chiyan, they both have meaning of a spiritual healing. So that's how 3 main leaf talks about a family, talking about the creation of the earth and talking about the universe. How can the earth and then the universe come together and connect? So, there's a time that, there's a lot of planning, I guess, that went into it. So what happened is that they talked to this Mother Earth. We call it Shamana Hassan. So with the 3 leaves that Hanisanan, so referring back to that. So the mother would be the Mother Earth. So Hassan Shama and the universe meaning that the father, the fatherly connected, the spiritual connected through the fatherhood. So the earth is down here, and then the universe. So they talked about how can the universe, this cosmic order, to be connected, and they refer back to the corn, because the middle one represents the child. And then the right side of the leaf, the corn husk, it represents the mother. And the left corn husk represents the father. So they connected that. So they placed the corn spiritually in the middle, along with the squash, along with the beans, and then tobacco. And that's how they spiritually connected the Mother Earth and the universe. And then at the same time, they also said that this corn will represent human life. And this corn shall be a prayer. And then the corn shall be a song. It became very spiritually important to our culture. we have all kinds of traditional food that involves corn. So the corn, also, I have a corn here. I didn't count this, but when the corn was discovered, they said that there's 12 rows on the right side and 12 more on the left side. So altogether it has 24 rows. The Khoshiko on the right side, it represents the 12 reasons why white shell woman was discovered. The white shell woman was birthed for 12 reasons on this earth. Nahasan, the earth, Yatlil, universe. Ado Chayol Kal, early dawn. Ado Nohodet Ish, the daylight. Adon the Eya Nohotsu, the sunset. Ado Chahashkil. So there's 6 of them. Adon the Eya Sisnachene, the sacred mountain to the east. So the sacred mountain to the west. Adonan Etok, sleep, sacred mountain to the west. Adonan the Bensa, sacred mountain to the north. Adon the 2 sacred mountains, so altogether there's 12 right there. Adon on the left side, it's the 12 months. It represents the 12 months. So the corn upholds the traditional story of growth. And as you see this corn, the ridge right here has 3 ridge. So the bottom part is the black world, although the next ridge is the blue world, the yellow world, and the white world. It's a foundation that this corn stands on. It bounces with spiritual significance. And then with that, when these it stood on this foundation, nesaha case, thinking, nahata, planning, adonan inna, family, social, adonan sihasen, being reverent. So it stands on Nesaha Kes Nata Inasihasan, this corn, the bottom ridge. Although you're gonna see the bigger kernels at the bottom, all these represents a che, a masan, do anale, they all down here. And you see that this corn has a straight row. And there's straight lines, and it talks about the generation, the continuance of Che Amasan Anala, they all down here. It goes, and you see the top right here, the smaller kernels, which represents the children, the grandchildren. Nasko beolta. Nasko, it represents the continue of life. With prayers and songs. For that reason, we always have that spiritual, emotional feelings for corn, and it's healing. And then we also you'll see a kernel of this from a corn. When you really look at it, a kernel of a human heart. And when this corn is planted, it does not grow roots down downward. It comes from the middle, just like the three chamber from a human heart. So with the spiritual food that that was brought by the turkey during the time from the black world, blue world, yellow world, and white world, all colors, I mean, all the four sacred colors it became our traditional food. So, when there's time that when you see corn kernels on the floor, your grandmother would remind you, say, pick that one up, it's crying for you. That's what they say, because it represents the human heart. So, and this corn, when it develops in the ground, it creates almost the same way as human embryo. Then Satan it in the ground just like a human embryo. So ado eten se tohoki ye no se nilche eten tin chot ade. So that's why when the corn connected with the earth and the universe, the corn boy and the yellow corn girl, it was their responsibility to monitor. So that's how we always say that corn is our traditional food. Natan in Lego, it's a continuous of life. That's the interpretation of the word Natan. Although we use corn for different things, we use it in the ceremony, we also use it in our home. Corn also is, it chases away poverty in your home. You see how people display corn, different types of corn in their home, and they place it on their wall. What that means, my grandmother told me, if you have that, you will never grow hungry. You will always have food on the table, because when they see corn attracts all different types of food. So it brings the types of edible plants into your home too. So it's very spiritual, very sacred. And that's why. And then we don't waste anything from this corn. We use this corn for our food and the kernels for our food. And then we use the corn cob as our the hunashkish for our home. We use that. And then also we either the corn also feeds not just human, but all of our livestock. And then so when the corn connected the Mother Earth and the universe, it became a central part of growth, where it divided the season into four, with a white shell woman, and then also so because how the corn is connected to the constellation, the cosmic order. When this corn, and then also has a tassel. The tassel is an invisible plume that connects to the North Star. It connects, and that's why we plant accordingly to how the Pleiades travel. So during either February or March, that's the time that we plant, and within 13 days it's going to come back from the north When you plant within that time, it will grow it will travel as it grow. So it's very, very important, to the tassel. The corn has how it's wrapped. It's wrapped in a clockwise formation, and because of the spiritual, how spiritual it is, that our elders, they long time ago, they were just like how this corn represents itself. So the rich of the structure of a blanket, Pendleton blanket, straight down, because you represent the corn people, you represent the white corn boy, you represent the yellow corn girl. So to attract blessing from the Mother Earth and the Father Sky, or the universe. So you are the child of this Mother Earth and the universe. So the corn husk is wrapped around the corn, just like how we wear a Pendleton blanket. So we wear a Pendleton blanket in the ceremony so that we can be blessed by the corn people. But long time ago, our elders, they wear Pendleton blanket every day, no matter what kind of season, or if it was hot day, they still wear it. Not because they want to or anything like that, but it's to attract blessings from the corn people. And then when the creation was completed, then they say, how do these humans make connection with the elements? And that sheets there was sacred mountains. It represents the four sacred mountains. The white corn was placed to the east. The blue corn was placed to the south. The yellow corn was put to the west. And then the black corn to the north. And the yellow corn girl stood on the Zelna'o Dili. So ako na ta de jole Adonan echanolt ininata. The round corn is the kingdom of all corn that represents the earth. And then Ado chanolt ini, the corn that goes all the way through and all the way around like that. And it's very closely structured. That's the corn we call chanolt ini nata. It represents the universe. So so with the spiritual creation of the corn and how it was placed in all four directions has a very significant spiritual meaning. That's the traditional story of a corn, how it really is spiritual. And then we also pray with the corn, the white corn pollen. When it's a grind, we use it to make offerings. And then also in the afternoon, we also pray with the corn pollen, tatatin. And then in the evening, we use the yellow corn to offer our appreciation for what you request in the morning with the white corn. Then you say your appreciation to the west with the yellow one. So in and then we use it in in our spiritual ceremonies too. So and that's why we call it traditional food. Bahane My grandmother told me one time, when we were making a Neil Dawn bread, he said, there's a very beautiful story in this. So a long time ago, during the creation of our traditional food, one day said there was a lady that was, she was stressing out. She was going through hard times. She was going through, she was overwhelmed by a lot of things, and she didn't know how to go about life. But although she knows that, there is a prayer somewhere that would heal, there was also a food that would heal. She had that thought, and she didn't know what it was, and so she built the fire. And then she got four corn. The white one, the yellow one, the blue one, and the black one. And she grinded. And then although it was a fresh corn, so she got these four corns from a sacred cornfield called Ta'ak. So she got this corn, and then she grinded. As she was grinding, she made it mushy. And she made it into a ball, and then she also structured. And then she placed the two corn husks under the bottom, and then I want a spiritual blessing. I want some healing from my mother and my father that placed me into this world. No, she put that corn on it, although she wrapped it around, and the corn mush. Although she took a string of that corn husk, and she she took that string to the east, to the south, to the west, and to the north. That sunlight, she placed it in to the sunlight like that, and she brought it. So, with that same concept as how the Mother Earth and the universe connected. Although the top part, the corn husk, is the universe. And she nailed down, to the fire. She nailed down to the, very close to the earth. And then, she made sure that she was balanced as she sat there, very close. And then she took some of that corn, made offering to the fire. So corn shiche nichen other corn shamasan. And that's how she uttered and expressed herself like that to the fire. Adonan say honeshkishetcho nichen, honeshkishetcho, meaning that you represent of all mankind. You are the spiritual blessing. And then you take care of the fire. You take care of the clan. You also take care of the spiritual ceremonies. You also take care of the home. So when a honeshkish is placed in the home, it's secured with spiritual blessing. So she fed the fire and then talked to this fire. Said, I want to be spiritually healed. I want to be spiritually blessed. I want to continue my journey, with the sound and spiritual sense of songs and prayers. no she put it into the fire. So that's how got its name, as when you really kneel down to the ground, when you kneel, and there's when you get close to the ground, when you get close to the fire, there's a lot of that atmosphere of spiritual blessing. There's that, the radiant of spiritual blessing is around. So when you get close to that, and from that, our people learn to come close to the ground, then to pray, to pray for themselves when they're close to the ground. And then using that corn husk to pray. So from that day on, it became our traditional food that when you eat nitsitako, make sure that you take a piece and give it to the earth and to make offering. So that way, when you eat that corn, that kneel down bread, it brings, or it instill that blessing, still that healthy blessing to your body. So these are some of the stories that we need to learn and we need to know, because of the that we are here at Sehoso Medical Center as a healthcare providers. So we all here to contribute in some way that our people will be healthy, in some way that our people could be healed. So these are some of the traditional stories that I have, and the corn story, and then the kneel down bread story. And then we have 2 more series to talk about the cornbread. Natan chiyan bahtot donan different types of corn food. So today I want to extend my appreciation for people that are online and listening. And I'm a person that likes to share traditional stories. My grandmother told me, it's not your story, it's everybody's stories. So that, today I want to gift this story to all of you that are online and that are wanting to learn, because we have children, we have grandchildren. So we need to continue these traditional ways, because it's all about healing. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for allowing yourself to learn from me.